Hi everyone, this is Harjeet here. Welcome to my channel Data Savvy. Uh, so I keep on getting a lot of questions about how I can move to big data stream and how I can learn big data. Uh, you know, Over the period of past 10 years, whenever I wanted some help, whenever I was working on a project and I faced any problem, I had always, taken help from Google, and whenever I Googled anything, I came across one name, that is Jacek Laskowski. When I thought that, okay, who should be the right person who should be guiding uh, uh, every viewer on this channel, I felt, okay, Jacek is the best person because he has shared so much of knowledge on internet, uh, answering a lot of questions on Stack Overflow with more than 60,000 of reputation. He has free books on GitHub, which share a huge amount of knowledge, internals of Spark, Kafka, and all that. So I felt Jacek will be the right person who can share his experience and views on how to get into big data domain and become an expert, because he himself has gone through this journey. So Jacek, welcome to my channel. I hope this will be a very interesting conversation. Uh, and thank you for the
I'm
time.
sure about it. I'm sure about it. Thank you, Harjeet, for having me. Yeah, pleasure is all mine.
Thank you. And thank you for the time that you have provided us, out of your busy schedule.
Not so busy, except all these calls that I've got with, with Harjeet and others.
Okay, so let us start. So Jacek, you started as a Java developer, and then moved into Scala, and then moved into this Kafka and Spark world. How did you started this transformation? When did you decide that you need to do this, and when did it hit you? And when how was your journey all along this?
Thank you, Harjeet. Thank you again for having me and sharing my story. Damn, I'm so old now, since I'm supposed to share my life story, correct?
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, it all started by chance. When I'm thinking about it, all the things that happened in my life looked pretty much by chance. It just luck, opportunity, and no fear in most cases. So it's like, I got old. Yeah, I became old fairly early in my life because I've got two kids when I was 20. So I had to work and work pretty hard because no help around. So I had to take care of my family. So so it all started when open source Apache Software Foundation was not that old as it's now and obvious as it's now. Not many companies accepted Linux at the time. I remember days when Microsoft tried to kill Linux, Java, and everything that was nice and shiny, quite different from what people experience right now. So I was in this open source ecosystem from the very early days. I was 20, it was it was 20 years ago, slightly earlier. So I grew up with this mindset that everything should be shared as quickly as possible, just to get this immediate feedback. And so I started, because of people who were around me. He shared so much passion and love to share things. They invited me to different opportunities, and I said, well, I know nothing about what I'm supposed to do, so just guide me. So people who were much smarter than I was at the time, probably they still are smarter than I am. They just invited me to initiatives that just taught me, how to do things. So I pretty much was trained how to see things. And I was just lucky that Dave Blevins and from Open EJB and people from Apache Software Foundation There are plenty of names I could just list now, and all these people just made me think this way rather than the other way around. So they trained me that open source is something I should value all the time, that sharing is caring, and loving others. So, well, it was 20 years ago, and things haven't changed much since. So I've been doing it. So call it luck at the very early days of my life. Now call it routine or doing the same things over and over again. You value it. For others, when you hear about me repeating, all the steps, it's just repetition. And if you repeat something that's valuable, fine. Okay. If people find it valuable, fine. If not, well, we could care about it. But if you don't cause harm or you don't cause pain, well, I don't care much about what people think. I'm doing what I can do best. So, well, and that's what led me to this conversation. After all these, meetings and show-offs and public presentations of myself and knowledge, well, that led me to this interview, and well, it just happened. No magic, source or ingredient. It just happened that I met all these people, and I was just lucky.
Okay. So, what is your suggestion to people who are starting very new for their big data journey to learn Spark and Kafka, where they should start? So, generally, this is the biggest confusion that they have.
Yeah, and I doubt I can, share something that be a silver bullet for all the problems people face. It's probably like, many factors, like start exploring mailing list, try to help people, even though you've got no idea what you're talking about or they are talking about. Try to ask questions to help others who are more knowledgeable to dig deeper into the problem at hand. Probably your basic questions may direct, more skilled people in the right direction. There are, sites like Stack Overflow. Ask questions if you get stuck. Try to answer questions that other asked. It's quite possible that your questions that may, happen in your life, in 1 hour or in 2 days, might be whatever, happened or were asked on Stack Overflow. So you will be ahead of the problems that are, lurking or that are coming. Okay. Talk to people. Whenever you have questions, just ask them, just reveal them in one way or the other. By saying one way or the other, I mean, just use leverage people who are willing to answer your questions on mailing lists. Use Stack Overflow, because that's the purpose of Stack Overflow, asking questions. It's not only about showing off what you know, but also it's to say, hey, I wish I knew answer to this question, but well, it's not much luck now, so I need to ask this question. It's not, bad to ask questions. It's to me, a bad thing in your life is to repeat all the bad things in your life over and over again. That's something, this is what we call wasting time. Also, start reviewing the source code of the product you wanna get familiar with. Meaning that if you have problems with Kafka or Spark, download the sources, compile the latest and greatest of the product or project you wanna get familiar with. See all the problems newbies, you and people who follow you will see in the future. Try to be ahead of your problems by attacking questions or seeing things like people new to projects you wanna be master of. What else? Well, and by doing all this, I'm pretty sure that you will, or people will see all the problems from others, because these others will start asking questions, and you will see them. So by seeing world around you, you will see more, not only by your two eyes, but you will have more eyeballs looking at the same product. So being everywhere makes you, more powerful by absorbing even more knowledge. If you can invite others for the same journey, you will spend less time on solving problems you may see in the future. And by being in connection or being associated or somehow connected with people who are into the same technology you are or you are after, there is a great chance that they will share something with you that you don't even consider important at the moment, but at some point may hit you and you say, I know who to talk to dig deeper. So by having a lot of people around you, people who are smarter or not so smarter than you are at the moment, but definitely exploring different areas of the open source project or product you want to be master of, well, you will multiply yourself, and by leveraging all the manpower around you, you can get results faster. That's what I would propose.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's kind of a collaborative learning. So learn with others, right? Learn with others.
Definitely. Yeah, something that I could add to this, you just nail it, and I might be too rude to others saying this, but as long as you don't cause any harm to others, you're fine. Okay, whatever you think, you should be fine unless you just hit others. So so what I'm gonna say is use others as if they work for you exclusively. Yeah. If they're willing to share their time, the only precious resource they have, their life, their time, you're fine. They're doing their job, they are fine, you're fine. So you are collaborate with these people, and even though it's one-way pipe, meaning that you are using them, asking questions, they are providing you with answers, and as long as they're fine, you should be fine too. Don't think that you are using them for your edge, or you are leveraging the power, the time for your own benefit. No, you are not doing it for your own benefit, because at the same time you are sucking this knowledge to your brain. Right. You are publishing this after you digest it or aggregate it in some more meaningful way. By saying more meaningful, I mean more meaningful for yourself. You don't know what people expect. All you can expect is to understand things you are sharing with others. Then expect questions that will dig deeper. Perhaps these questions may expose problems you can't explain. Right. That will, for some people, mean that you know very little. Don't care about it. Don't care what people think about it, as long as you don't cause any pain and harm to others. And as long as you are sharing what you know, you should be fine. Awesome. That's what I learned during this, 20 years of me presenting my lack of knowledge. Some people say, this is exactly expertise you showed us. But I say, well, there's small boundary or very thin line between knowledge and lack of expertise. As long as you can be at the edge of your knowledge, you learn even more. Just yesterday, I had this conversation with my son, and I said, just today, I'm at the boundary, at the limit of my understanding, and I'm very, I'm tired. I'm tired mentally. I'm tired. I'm devastated by not fully understand the problem at hand. and I was tired mentally. I was exhausted, but that's exactly how I can learn even more, because I'm crossing the boundary of my knowledge. So he knew I'm struggling with this or that. And for many people, if I knew who to ask to or how to formulate a question, I'd be lucky, because I could just post it on Stack Overflow and be done with it, or just drop a few emails to my friends, to my colleagues, and expect some answers. Or I could expect more confusion, because they could share something that I could not fully grasp. So they could add up to my confusion. So, well, it's always to be at the edge of your knowledge where you can learn. Just like with stretching, I'm into stretching. I'm into middle splits, and I'm after 40. So for many people, it's like, why are you doing this? Middle splits at your edge after 40. You're a man. A woman have much luck with this, because of the pelvic being developed in a different way. So just give up and done something else. But that's exactly why I'm doing it. People are by hearing this, I feel challenged. And whenever people say, "Hey, give up because there is no purpose doing it," that's the purpose. That's my purpose. That's the goal I think can benefit myself. So whether it's health, whether it's your knowledge, whether it's your wealth, it doesn't really matter. Just pursue your goal, your personal goal, and whenever you feel mental pain or physical pain, that's exactly where you can learn the most. And that's what I could share with others.
Yeah. Okay, so coming back to the questions that I was asking. So I get this question asked a lot. So you are expert on Kafka also, right? And you are expert on...
Some people consider this to be, the case.
So you are expert on Kafka, you are expert on Spark, and recently Kafka had come up with Kafka Streams. Kafka Streams and Spark Streams are seen as a competitor. So people are generally confused that which technology they should invest in learning so that they can have a better future.
Understanding.
And, yeah. So what is your take on it? So both, only one, or like, what is your call on it?
Sure. You mentioned two, but I'm thinking about four different solutions that are quite popular. Kafka Streams, for example.
Kafka Streams.
It's quite popular in Scala/Java communities. Right. There is also Flink. Right. So yeah, Flink is also cool, right? For many people. And so now the question is what to pick for your problem. And whenever, I'm independent consultant, I don't care much about what I should be selling for my company. I'm independent, so it's myself to decide which is good for this client or the other. So I'm no longer tied or associated with a big name, a 3-letter name or 6-letter name, whether it's a red color or blue color or whatever. I can say that for this particular case, Flink would be much better than Spark. Or, as you pointed out, comparing Kafka Streams and Spark Success Streaming, I could say for one use cases, Kafka Streams is much better case or much better solution than or answer than Spark Success Streaming. Being more precise, because this is exactly the question I've been asked a few times already. And just to spice this up, I also asked this question to Matthias from Kafka Streams dev team, and I said, what's the value proposition of Kafka Streams versus Flink, for example, or Spark Success Streaming, where I should be using this or that? Even though I've got partial answer to this question, I needed to see things as others have seen. So I like this explanation of Matthias, where he said during Kafka Summit in London, and he said something like, look at how DAX, how is it called? Not pipelines, how is it called in Kafka Streams? You build topologies. How topologies work in Kafka Streams. they take one record at a time. So whatever happens in these pipelines, in these topologies, happens with one record at a time. There is always one record in a pipe, okay, or in a pipeline. Contrast it to Spark. Spark always has 0, 1, or thousands of rows per batch. You can limit number of, just before our call, I had another call with my client, and he asked this question about Delta Lake. Can we limit number of rows per version per table? And I didn't know, to be honest, about this max rows per trigger. There's this option that you can limit by rows or by bytes. But anyway, you always think about multiple rows being processed one at a time. So for some people, that's exactly what they want. They want to process data faster and faster by taking batches of rows rather than one row at a time. So that's one approach. So sometimes it's faster because you've got a broader view on your data. Okay. Also, Spark is pool-based, meaning Spark asks data sources about data being available, while other systems might get informed about data being available to be processed. Right. So this is a difference between whether you need to use CPU time for constantly querying your data source, whether data, polling, versus being informed about data being available, being ready for processing. Speaking about Kafka streams specifically, and Spark Success streaming, what are the differences? One difference is API being supported. Or API languages supported, and ecosystem that you have in your architecture. If your team is familiar with Kafka, I would certainly not recommend Spark as processing engine, even though for this particular use case, Spark could be better fit. Okay. Why? Because this development team is more familiar with Kafka. So if time is a precious resource in this project, let's say you've got 1 week to deliver something meaningful, I definitely, as independent consultant, not consider Spark, because that 1 week would have to be spent to get familiar with how Spark processes records, right? Or how it works, that it requires this or that and blah blah blah. So people might get confused, and after a week we would not be able to deliver anything, even in a 1 month time frame. So I would say, hey, if you are familiar with Kafka, you are familiar with processing one row at a time or some batches, because you know a Kafka client API. So you know the concept of publishers and subscribers, right? Yeah. So you know the basic mechanism of how Kafka works under the covers. You've got no idea how Spark works under the covers, which may or may not contribute to your understanding of how these systems work in general. So I would start with Kafka API or Kafka streams, or even KSQL, if these people are familiar with SQL. Okay. Because KSQL is based on Kafka streams. If these people are more familiar with SQL, then if after a couple of hours of me having this conversation with them, what to pick, I would sense they are more familiar or more they are leaning towards SQL-like way of thinking. I would say, you are more into SQL rather than programming. So it's not about Java versus Scala or Python, but it's about programming languages versus SQL. Wow, in this case, that's quite possible that you need something like Jupyter Notebook environment. Okay. even though you haven't told me this at the beginning of our conversation, that you need something, fast, notebook-like, it looks like you prefer environments like this. So if you need to deliver something meaningful to your clients, might be you need something very neat like a Jupyter notebook. So it's possible that you don't care about whether it's Kafka streams or Spark Success Streaming, but you need to process streaming data.
Yep.
And your data source is Kafka. If I knew this at the very beginning, I would say, go with Jupyter. Use Spark Success Streaming because Jupyter supports, or Apache Zeppelin supports Spark Success Streaming out of the box, and leave internals of this setup to me. Just hire me as the guy who is responsible for laying out the architecture, just very initial version of this architecture, and buy some time to get up to speed with the technology that I would offer, and at the same time deliver something to your customers.
Okay.
So even though I'm not part of your project and you ask me, for recommendation, hire me to, to design, not design, set up, because design means that I start drawing, pictures, blah, blah, blah. I'm far from it. I want to give you very basic, probably not necessarily production ready environment, but something that works, from day one. You can do something for your customer, buy some more time, and at the same time, tell me what actually you really need for this or that, because you can get more insights or get more knowledge from your end customer who didn't tell you everything you told me. So eventually this feedback loop was not fully closed. So by me delivering something to you, something that you can use to deliver something to your end client, we can close the loop and see things much faster and have together more knowledge about the end result we are building. So it's not always about Kafka streams versus Spark Success Streaming versus Flink, or it's about what you can deliver to your client, right? So let's leave these technologies aside and let's talk about what your clients really need, and only then think about whether we need this or that. Yeah, that's my approach.
Okay. So you're suggesting that if people are trying to learn, they should focus more on solving the problem, be it any technology, be it any.
Yeah, certainly.
Technology.
Certainly. Just think about, I'm independent. So whether this conversation or other conversation with my clients, even though you are not and your viewers are not paying me, by saying what I'm saying, I'm building trust.
Yep.
And by having this trust, you can afford your money, your time later on. Yep. So I'm indirectly building trust in your viewers. So eventually they may become my clients, correct?
Yep.
So whenever I say I'm giving you because you need it, I'm not using for me, it's gonna be the best. I'm saying, given all the requirements you gave me at the time, I'd pick this or that, okay? And whenever you try to walk in your client's shoes, as closer you get to the problem at hand, the happier your customers. Eventually, these customers are providers of services to other customers, correct? So if you can lower the pain they experience by getting closer to their clients, if you can offer more help than they expected you to deliver, the better, because they're happier. So that's why I'm trying to be happy with, Spark and Kafka. But I had clients which had recommendations like, I would go with no Spark. I would pick no Kafka. I would reconsider Flink, because my gut feelings tell me Flink might be a better fit for this use case compared to Kafka Streams or Spark Success Streaming. So even though I've got a little experience with this or that, and I'm pretty happy all the time I can work with Kafka and Spark Success Streaming, I am not going to sell Spark Success Streaming and Kafka all the time, especially when I see that they don't fit the bill, the architecture very well. I'm honest, and by being honest, I think I'm building trust better than if I lied and try to push my solution all the time.
Agree.
And by the way, just to close this question, or try to close this question in a more meaningful way. I don't, even if I'm independent consultant. So this independent consultant thinking for most people who have never been independent consultant is that I try to sell as many hours as I can, because I'm paid by hours, by working hours. As a matter of fact, we all are paid by working hours, whether we are hired full-time or not full-time. As long as you provide value, the longer you get paid for your time. So, but by being short to the point at the very early stage of your conversation, you can cut the pain you will suffer from later on, eventually leading to failure in your collaboration with your client. So rather than being everywhere, being smart for everyone, just be honest and say, I don't know. I see no value I can offer you. So we might not have any relationship, any business relationship, because, well, I can't solve your problems. And in many situations, I found this sentence very revealing, very refreshing for both sides. They wanted to hire me because they thought I'm the best. It turned out I'm not the best, but they didn't mean to say it because, well, they were polite, blah, blah, blah. You know, all the human factors, implied or applied. And by sensing this early, I can say, hey, look elsewhere, because I would just burn your money and provide no value. So eventually you would get mad at me not telling you all the truth at the very beginning. So now whenever I have this conversation with you or others, when they say, hey, can you help me with that? I say, is this something with Spark? No. Is this something with Kafka? No. Well, I can't help you. Well, sometimes people say, hey, stop. Let me phrase this question. Might be that it's nothing to do with Spark or Kafka, but you may be of some help. So in this context, well, this guy accepts me saying, I don't really know. Again,
okay.
He trusts my sense and my gut feelings that I can offer some help later on once I hear the whole question, rather than me asking, is it Spark? No. Is it Kafka? No. Okay, we're done. Okay, so sometimes it's like, if you can afford more time for me to explain your problems, fine. But sometimes it's all about, can you help me? No. Okay, I need to move on to other, independent consultants, because, well, they are independent, so they might be more proficient in this or that than Jacek.
Awesome. So my next question is actually related to what you have been, discussing in these few minutes. So that is like COVID-19 has changed the way we work, right? Remote working, and a lot of people have lost their jobs. And I see a lot of my friends moving into consultancy from their regular jobs because they were expert in, some field. And now, because of, changed COVID situations, they are exploring if they can be consultants or be full-time employees in their new organizations. So what is your suggestion to people? You are already a consultant, right?
Yeah.
So what is your suggestion to people who are starting new as consultants, and or with this mode of working?
This is a very tough question or set of questions. I've got 3 kids, and they pretty much asking the very same questions: how to live and how to be rich, from the very beginning. And I doubt anybody could answer this question, because everybody's life is different.
Okay.
Okay. You are meeting different people. You are living in different country. You are you like this or that. That's the reason why our lives are so different and so exciting at the same time. So your excitement is different than mine. I'm excited about Spark. You are excited about Spark too, but my excitement is about internals of Spark. You are more user focused. Again, we are speaking about Spark, we are speaking about excitement, but still it's different, okay? So given all this, I would say go full steam ahead and become an independent consultant. It's only then when you realize what's important in your life. First of all, you need to realize how much money you need every day, because you need to buy, your food, you need to live, right? So you have to eat something.
Right.
So you have to have time to earn money for your living, for your food, very basic stuff, right?
Right.
Then you need to be healthy, unless you've got enough money to pay for pills and medicines and visiting doctors, blah, 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 which is usually considered very expensive,
Right.
time-wise,
Right.
health-wise. And oftentimes you may pay your life entirely. You can, get ruined entire life, chasing, health, not caring about these small details like exercising. So you need to exercise every day, be it yoga, stretching, running, whatever, but you have to have it. So now you have, whenever I'm asked about how to live as an independent consultant, I'm always saying, know how much you need to earn. Let's say $1,000 every month.
Okay.
So now you have your quote for your first client.
Mm-hmm.
So you get your first client, and your first client say, I'm gonna pay you $500 for entire month. You'll be starving. You know it already, because you've got your minimum, okay? And your minimum is $1,000.
Right.
You've got half the price, so you know that every second day you will have meal. And now it's up to you whether you can suffer the pain, or you say, get lost, okay? If you say get lost, you lost all the money you could get. So
Right.
basically, you take it. You take it as granted, no matter what. But what I always say, even though you are earning half the minimum wage you expect, salary you expect, you have to start building what in Poland we call a money pillow, meaning that you have your savings.
Okay.
So every salary you save $1, for example. Yeah, I know it sounds very small, but you need to start saving, okay? And you have this $1 in case next month you've got no client. Because you always have to think about times that are bad rather than that are, the happiest of your life.
Time, yeah.
Yeah, and that I'm not very happy saying this, but you should be always concerned about bad days rather than, so you have to have plan B rather than what these big minds say, always have plan A and never give up and have plan B. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he had this talk, this speech about, if you are thinking about plan B, it means that you are accepting failure. And even though I am accepting his point of view now because I'm covered financially for a couple of months, I would not agree with him if I started from scratch, seeing no clients in my pipeline. So I say always think about bad days, even if you are healthy, wealthy, and you see lots of customers in your pipeline. Always think about the day where you get ill. Let's say COVID-19.
Right.
Everybody can get ill every moment, right? Every every meeting other people can lead to serious damage to your health. And what was very refreshing to me was when I was speaking to my wife about when we discussed my insurance. What's gonna happen if I die? Okay, so we need this insurance. We covered, okay? Or my family is covered. But the toughest situation, or much tougher situation, is where you get seriously ill, you are still alive, you are consuming money, but you are providing no extra money for your family if I'm myself. So you basically eating your money.
Right.
So this is what this insurance agency showed me. I didn't think about it. So worst case scenario is not when you're gone, when you pass away, but when you are seriously ill and you are consuming money and also time of your family.
Right.
So be healthy, wealthy, and share what you know. And by sharing what you know, even if you are poor, you can expect that people who notice that you are poor may help you because they value your work and they see, hey, if he's away, let me think this way. If he passes away, my source of knowledge stops. So in my sponsor-like point of view, it's much better to keep him alive, this independent consultant, so he can provide some value for free or cheaper without paying him for the. So my take on it is that the more people you help, the more people will help you. It's like about this Indian way of thinking about this karma. The good karma will double every cycle or something like this. I'm not good at it, but I believe in this good karma where you do something good for others, they will do even more good to you.
In future.
So that's what I value. So again, know how much you need to earn. You can starve for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. But again, but at some point you need to decide to change your approach to market and be more aggressive. Probably by more aggressive means help even more people. Even though you say, I can't help 1,000 people. Well, if you can't, you will suffer, you will starve. So it's like this simple thinking. The more I had this conversation with people when I was doing meetings or meetups. They say, how is it possible that you can find time, since you are independent consultant, you've got 3 kids, you've got your family, you need to be busy to earn all the money you need for your living? And I say, yeah, this is this, how to say, this is this paradox. You've got no time because you are busy. So do something else. It changes nothing, but you do something else, meaning something more. Okay. So rather than doing 2 things, do 3 things. You are still busy, but at the same time, you are doing 3 things at the same time. So there is a greater chance that you finish at least one. Compare it to betting on just one option. You might not be very successful with one option, So, but given that you've got, two other options, plan A, plan B, plan C, well, it's like with investing. If you are investing in different sources of your income, there's a great chance that your balance is going to be positive in a long run rather than in a short run. So you bet on you are thinking about 10, 20 year investing plan rather than something that's going to happen in a day or month or something like this. I'm not investor, but I'm trying to read and hear people who are more successful than I am, in my point of view. They might not necessarily be more successful. And if I could talk to them, they would say, no, I'm not successful. I'm poor man. I only started. But from my point of view, they are more successful than I am. So comparing my life to theirs, I try to pick what they do best and how they do it and apply it to my life. And if it's something general like be healthy, so exercise every day, well, that's easy. That's cheap. It just requires my time and that's it. And I'm pretty sure that everybody can afford spending one hour for exercising rather than spending 1 hour for Netflix, unless this Netflix is something that can benefit your wealth and health. Yeah.
In India, we say that if you are not healthy, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you will not like it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Health is what's around you, inside you, and how long it's gonna take to lost it or to not have it. So as long as you are healthy and people around you are healthy and this ecosystem is healthy enough, it's okay. You don't have to be rich. It's also possible that your life is not to be rich, but to prepare ground for next generation to be rich. Some things, if you think about monarchies or kings, they weren't kings in first generation.
Right.
Sometimes to be a king took 5 generations. And there's this recording. I've seen some videos from Guy Kawasaki, and this guy who wrote this book about rich man, poor man, something like this. There's a book about how rich people think and how poor people think. So he said something like this. Just a long story short. I hope I'm not saying something that's not true. It's something that you can check on LinkedIn. There's this video he's recording. So there was this video where he said, 3 generations ago, my father was very poor. He lived in Japan, and he had one way of living. Either he's gonna be drafted to the army, Japanese army, to fight against Chinese. I think it was Japan versus China war. So at the time, he had no other options but to fight against Chinese. And yes, he decided to leave Japan and relocate to Hawaii. And he was very poor, but he decided that in next generation or in second generation, his family, once this this father or this grandpa passes away, next generations are gonna be much healthier. Okay, so he moved from Japan. And well, for some people, he made a bad decision because he didn't join, a Japanese army and fight against Chinese. Well, for some people, yes. But from Guy Kawasaki standpoint, his third generation, it was about making this bold decision to do something no one, thought about. So they moved from one place to another, and he started his life in different environment, different country, knowing probably no word in this language, Hawaiian or American English. So all in all, he made this bold decision. And next generation was healthier, wealthier, and now Guy Kawasaki can say, I'm rich because I've got this history of people on my family who made this bold decision. Now I can reap benefits, tap benefits of their decision. So again, coming back to our question with this how to live,
Right.
it's quite possible that our lives are to lay the ground for other generations to get better, healthier.
Yeah.
I had this conversation about God and what's religion with one Israeli, and he said something like, all these religions, blah blah blah. I'm not gonna delve into this because it's a very sensitive subject, but all this conversation revolves around getting closer to something we consider God. And this God is, for one person, is being healthier. For another, it's being stronger, muscle wise. Okay,
Right.
so look better. Okay, whatever, call it whatever you like. Okay, but the point is that we, by doing something good to others and by getting stronger, whatever it means that we are getting closer to this God we consider the best. Okay, so whatever religion, we are speaking about the same. And going back to your question about how to live and whether we can get how to live given this COVID situation, well, it's quite possible that our life is just to survive this COVID-19 situation at the very lowest income, just so our kids and kids of our kids can get wealthier because they survive. Our family line will survive. That's possible too. And I'm not saying I'm gonna be rich in 10 or 20 years. I'm hoping that my kids will make our family stronger. So in third generation or fourth generation may consider themselves kings or whatever they want to call it. Yeah.
So, Jacek, so how do you, how does Jacek spend his personal time? So what do you do? You're learning and, I see you are not interested in history.
You know what, Harjit, I'm spending my life having these conversations like ours, having these interviews, and I'm fine. I'm not, I don't need much to eat because this conversation is not very exhausting, which means I'm having so much fun. I've got my lentils and my whole grain rice ready. So after our call, I've got very cheap food waiting for me. I've got my Instagram account where I'm posting, what I'm cooking. So this is only for people who are into cooking. So I'm sharing that. Oh yeah, definitely. And this is only because of COVID, where I started cooking for my family because I've got people I can cook for. Awesome. Back then, my wife was the chief of the house, and she cooked very well. And then I decided to start cooking Indian-like foods because they are cheaper, healthier, okay. More vegetarian. Right. So all in all, I was looking for food that's more protein-rich, yet very easy to prepare, because I wanted to have more time for myself. So I started digging around and seeing how people can prepare something fresh. I was told that Indian cuisine is all about making meals every day for exactly the amount people need. And I like it. And although my son is for cooking for this intermittent fasting because he hates this idea of cooking every couple of hours because he needs to eat just twice a day and done. I'm for cooking more often, where taste takes the first place. It's fresh, hot, spice-wise and temperature-wise, and I love it. So I have this, my alter ego, and in my alter ego life, I'm a great chef where I'm speaking French. Yes, and I'm proud of preparing meals for my family every day, for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. And although they sometimes say, "Hey, can you do something else? Because we had this 2 days ago or 3 days ago," I say, "Well, I'm not so how to say so creative." As I could be with Spark. So, well, I'm repeating this over and over again, but you've got your choice. Either you eat what I'm serving, or you can just eat whatever you want. So now I'm giving them choices, but this is only because of COVID where I started preparing all the food. So again, so what I'm doing for my living, I had a conversation, business conversation, just like ours, with my client. It was paid conversation. Again, even though this conversation is free of charge, please record it and post it. It's not to say it because our conversation will build understanding how things go for us, for you, Harjeet, for myself. And some people may say, let's hire them as mentors, life mentors, something like this. We don't know.
Yeah.
So even though this conversation is free of charge, it's not, because it's going to be published. And some people may say, they say something I want to pay for. I want to hear them every month, every week. Let's hire them. Let's invite them to not only talk about Spark and Kafka, but also about cooking, stretching, whatever,
Right.
So we don't know. So going back to your question, how every day I'm stretching for 1 hour. I love it. I'm for middle split, and I'm after 40, 45, and I need to do all this, weird yoga poses, because I see benefit of stretching my body for the benefit of my clients, meaning I can earn more, because if I'm healthy, I don't have to spend my time for hospitals, for doctors, for pills, blah, blah, blah. So even this conversation is like, I'm not sitting on a chair. I'm sitting in this yoga pose, in this kind of like lotus pose. And we had this conversation. You don't see it, and people don't see it either. But I'm practicing my yoga pose. So even though we had this conversation, I'm exercising. You see? And you are sitting, and you are damaging your your spine, and eventually you will have to walk.
Right.
I don't, because I'm in this healthy position where I'm sitting, and my spine is not hurting much. Okay, so then after our call, I've got my lentils with whole grain rice. It's ready because it's it's on low heat. So after 1 hour, I've got my meal. So I eat. Then after my meal, I go to explore some Delta Lake features, because I've got Ask Me Anything session in 3 hours. So whatever I learn during this 3 hours before my call with my audience, I will share. At some point, I'm going to say, I don't know. I haven't explored it much because I've got no time, just like you guys. I've got little time for things I wish I could spend more time on. Then I'll have another.
Sorry to interrupt. So where is this?
In 3 hours. So I've got another Ask Me Anything session in 3 hours. I've got another half on Delta Lake. This is on YouTube. So
Okay.
on YouTube, I'm collaborating with Itamar from Big Data Boutique. He invited me for one Ask Me Anything session. So we
Awesome.
had our conversation session a couple of months ago. I like this idea.
Okay.
He laid the ground foundation for me, showing off my knowledge on Delta Lake. So he did all the preparatory, this groundwork for myself. So all I have to do is to have this conversation like I have right now with you and share what I know about Delta Lake. After this Ask Me Anything session, I've got another business call with someone who's gonna ask me questions about Delta Lake. So by doing this Delta Lake session, I am preparing for another call about Delta Lake. So I'm gonna almost repeat what I'm gonna record during this Itamar session, or for the session, Ask Me Anything session for Itamar. So what I'm trying to do is to do what pleases one person or one group of people, and I can share with others, so I can squeeze more in a shorter time, which basically is all we are trying to do.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky that people trusted me or trust me that I can offer something meaningful, something they can pay me for. Something that I'm passionate about, Delta Lake, Spark, Kafka. So, but it took me 5 years. And by the way, just to share with the audience, I was fired once. So I know exactly what it feels to get fired. And I'm pretty sure that if you've never got fired, you've got no idea what it feels like. So, and again, it's about how much pain you suffered in your life that gets you stronger. Okay. So it's only at the moment where I saw this termination letter, where I realized how our life is fragile.
Yeah.
How flexible you should be. Yes. So, when I have this conversation with people who are hired full time, they say, we are fine. We are full-time hires, and so we are employees. We don't have to care about future months because we are full-time employees. And I say, hey, read your paper, read the work regulation or license, where you see that employers can fire you after 3 months or something like this. There is this termination period, but after this period, it's gone. Right. This relationship is gone. So, going back to your question about how to be successful independent consultant, well, just think about you being fired every moment. If you know what it feels like, it's much better for you because you can remember the days where you didn't know what to do. If you've never gotten fired, well, you have to imagine the pain people go through, and imagine and make it as painful as possible, which should trigger this extra thinking, what to do not to see things like this. So going back to the last question of me, how I'm living. I'm getting up at 5:05 a.m. in the morning. I'm stretching for 1 hour just before my family is ready for my breakfast, because I need to prepare my breakfast. I need protein-rich breakfast for my family and for myself, just to get healthy. So after 8 or 9, I'm ready to have this conversation with my clients, to have all the pleasant things I'd like to spend my time on. And eventually I need to have some rest. And so I need to go to bed. And although sometimes 8 or 10 is too early to go to bed, it's like, hey, you need to go up. You need to wake up at 5:05, and you need to at least 6 hours of sleep. So if you don't go to sleep if you don't go to bed at 11 p.m. your time, you get ruined, and you get your day next day gets ruined. So it's a kind of like serious chain of events that will lead to this inevitable fact of you getting unhealthy, unhappy, blah blah blah. All this can get short circuit if you get to bed at 11 p.m. your time. The last moment of your day is this 11 p.m. So you know how much you can do. And the sooner you go to bed, the healthier you are going to be next day. If you are healthier, you can afford 1 extra hour to spend on your work if needs be, if your client asks you for. So you are buying extra time where you can, when things get hairy, gets weird, gets bad, gets against your thinking. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So regardless of your life, of your time, your position in your life, I would say think about the worst possible case in your life. And I'm not speaking about death or death someone close to you. No. I'm speaking about something more devastating, like you can't work and you are on someone else's help or support. That's even worse. So think about these cases and what you can do to avoid this situation. And if it means going independent because you need to earn twice as much as you are earning right now, well, you've got no choice but to say goodbye to your current employer and start your new life, even though you've got no idea what you're doing. Because the only idea that gives you the power and the motivation to do so is to earn twice as much as you are earning right now. Because eventually you need this money for your family. It's not about you, it's about others. So that's what this brain has got every day. And although I'm passionate about sharing and caring, yeah, it might not seem so all the time, but that's the way of thinking I've got in my brain. Yeah, and when I have this conversation with you or others, I think that it's so much closer to this Buddha-like thinking, where you are giving everyone everything. Yeah, every time I have this conversation similar to ours, although it's not really conversation. Thank you, Harjit. You are very, patient, and you are letting me talk. And I'm very talkative, as you can see.
I actually enjoy listening your views. So I have been.
Oh, really? Okay. Right. Okay. I had this conversation with one Indian when I was in the US, and he said something like, we had this conversation about the castas in India social system, and he said that the initial idea was very very clever because there were so many people and everybody had to work, had to live, and had to earn some money. So we had to split this work across more people we needed. So we introduced this casta system for the benefit of all. It just happened that it turned into something not well designed, but okay. Anyway, but by hearing all the histories behind this system or slavery and other systems, you can think in a way to avoid these situations in your family, in other families that are associated with your family. So to avoid these situations, not to provoke them. Because it's not only about you also about others. So yeah. So this conversation, the one we have now, and others, led me to this bad scenario way of thinking. But hey, if there is this sun outside, I can say, I'm not happy to spend my time for this conversation. I'm busy and no one can do anything about it because me decides I'm gonna, have a short walk for 1 hour or 2 hours. I'm my boss, and I can say whether it's okay or not, and whether my clients can afford it or not, whether I can afford it or not. And so, yeah, just today we had this conversation before this recording, whether it's okay, but unfortunately today I cannot have any walk because I've got this pipeline or this series of talks. So today is not a very healthy day for my health, but it's healthy financial wise.
Okay.
Tomorrow is gonna be, all about health, not about money.
Okay.
So in a long run, I'm fine.
So,
Yeah.
Jacek, the more I talk to you, more I, feel that, you are not only an expert on these technologies, you are a very good human also. So
Thank you.
your views, your knowledge, your thought process behind, how to lead a healthy and good life is
Yeah.
awesome. So,
Thank you.
so it has been pleasure, to talk to you. And during this interview, you have shared very good, views of yours with us.
Thank you.
Uh, Anything on the closing, remarks you would like to say, like to share? Anything that you're working on currently, which you are very excited to share with people, and you want people to go and check, on your uh, books or different uh, social network presence?
Yeah, well, don't really know what exactly I should start from because, if I say that, I've got plenty of things to share, that would mean that I'm very arrogant. My ego is, high above me, so let me start with this. Quite recently, I switched my books from one publishing system, GitBooks IO, to another. And it was quite a challenge because, I haven't provided any value Spark or Delta wise, but it was about, for me, publishing faster, so I could just focus on the internals of Delta Lake and Spark. Quite recently, I found about this publishing framework called MK Docs, and there is this theme called MK Docs material. I got so excited. I said, I need to have it. So, my initial thought was, are you ready for another switch, another migration? It just happened, a couple of months ago. You burned, couple of precious weeks just to convert from one publishing system to another. I learned so much, but no one knows about it. And do I care about it? Yes.
I have seen it
so,
in the new links of that, and
yeah, exactly. So thank
good.
you. So I just quite recently noticed there is this Jupyter book project. There is this idea of executable books, and I love it so much. They share the same perspective on how books should look like. They should be executable. They should be self-checked, meaning that if you are sharing code, this code should be somehow tested. But how to do it if it's part of whole book, okay? And if this book contains 40 or is of 100 pages, what to do to make sure that every page compiles, okay? So there's this idea, and it's like I'm after a second iteration, and I changed from ASCII-Doc to Markdown, from one publishing system to a Gitbook, from Gitbook IO to GitHub, to GitHub Pages. Now I'm thinking about read the docs. All this. There are so many technologies just for this small feature, of this small idea of publishing books, publishing your knowledge. And many people say, are you going to burn your precious cycles for this? And you know what? Yes, that's this constant change fascinates me so much that I'll probably do this migration again from MK Docs to Jupyter Book,
Okay.
just to please myself and see if it's gonna make my books better or not, for the benefit of my end user and future customers, hopefully. Thank you.
So I have often heard and read in books that you should enjoy journey more rather than the destination. I think
Oh yes, definitely.
I
Just
think
like
that's
with yoga, with this stretching, if there is this downward facing dog, for example, or split, or all these poses. It's not about the pose itself, but the journey to reach to the stage where you can say, I'm sitting in lotus pose and I'm fine. And I feel the pleasure of having this conversation plus this pose. So I'm doing two things at the same time. And
awesome.
that's what pleases me the most. Yeah.
Okay.
So journey rather than the goal. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, Jacek. Thank you very
Pleasure
much
is
for
all
your
mine.
time, and thank you.
Next
I know
time.
you have been very busy, and it was a
Yep.
pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Pleasure is all mine. If you've got any questions, audience, if you guys have any questions, find me, drop an email. I might not respond immediately, but definitely I will. So don't feel ruined by me not responding immediately. Just ping me again. Just make this email more visible in my mailbox, and we get in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Cheers. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.